So one of my clients has an office job. She's a therapist. She hates working out. She hates it. Hates lifting weights, not her jam whatsoever. And I said, okay. I was like, well, can you walk for 5 to 10, 15 minutes between clients? Can you at least stand up and just pace the room? Can you go up and down a couple flights of stairs? I said, take a walk outside your building, get some fresh air and sunlight. And she was like, wait, I can do that? I was like, yes, please, for the love of God, do that. Like anything other than sitting down and eating is going to be beneficial for you. Any sort of movement, get off your chair and just do a couple stretches, touch the ceiling, touch your toes, touch the ceiling, touch your toes. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just the smallest little habits that turn into the biggest things. It snowballs and snowballs. Like, you just start somewhere. Pick one meal or one snack. Like, okay, I don't know how to build on my protein. It's very overwhelming for a lot of people. Like you and I both know. We've both come from different backgrounds, but they're yet still so similar in the sense as like, well, what am I doing? I remember the first time I walked into a Planet Fitness and I was like, holy, I don't know what I'm doing. So like, I know how to use a treadmill. Beep, hit start and just walk. And of course, that was back in the let's be skinny cardio queens the whole time. So, you just start walking on the treadmill for 20, 30, 45 minutes, an hour. And yeah, that's great because you're still moving your body. But like, you just got to keep adding to that, keep growing, keep growing. Like, just get one habit in. If all you can do is 15 minutes of walking, if all you got in today was walking the dog, okay, that's fine. You and the dog just got some exercise. Don't beat yourself up. Just try to hit another goal tomorrow or the next week. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, where can I add a consistent snack or consistent meal? Like, where can I add a specific protein, or where can I, add this or fill this or build on this as I'm going along? Like, I know one of our favorite, like, as a whatever you want to call it, health nut, fitness coach, health coach, whatever you want to call it, that whole 80-20 rule. My biggest pet peeve is like, well, I had a cookie for, dessert, so I just thought I would throw in the towel the rest of the day. I'm like, no. Like, have the cookie. I mean, I see your posts all the time. Eat the damn cookie. And you know what? Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
I think people get confused because you get so caught up in what the freaking gurus are saying on social
Mm-hmm.
media. Because like, I tell people all the time, you have to be so careful who you follow
Mm-hmm.
and what they preach. Because you're going to have some people, and anybody who is preaching, like, you have to do this form of exercise or you have to do this diet, is clearly trying to tell you something. They're
Mm-hmm.
placing the diet or the type of exercise as the solution to your problems, when in reality the solution to your problems is actually yourself. You are
Yeah.
the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. You're the problem and the solution. So pick
Yes,
one.
and you have the power to be the
Yeah.
solution. Like,
Yeah.
there is no diet or exercise or combination that is going to magically fix your problems. But we have people who are again, like, screaming that from the rooftops on social media, and I think people
Yeah.
get so freaking confused because then you hear people, like you said, talk about the 80-20. People don't even know what that means for themselves. They're like,
Nope.
okay, I try to eat the cookie, and then I feel guilty as hell for eating the cookie. And then I
Mm-hmm.
try to not eat the cookie, and then I'm sitting there drooling over the cookie, and I don't know what that means to me, and this 80-20 thing feels like a fraud.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's, well, again, back to like what we were talking about before. It's like, that's why somebody who, oh, man, it's just, there's so many different points to be made in this whole topic is like, find somebody that resonates with you, who you can relate to, who communicates well with you, i.e., a coach, trainer, friend, confidant, somebody who's going to hold your hand and hold you accountable and guide you through the process, but not just shove like a cookie cutter outline down your throat. Like, hey, if you want to lose weight, you need to be cutting your carbs. You need to have this much oatmeal and this much, chicken and this much beef, and don't have this and have this. I'm like, a lot of people, unless you're planning on stepping on stage to be judged, you don't need that type of a lifestyle. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and you know firsthand, you did it. You've done
Mm-hmm.
that. Like, you know firsthand that you, like, all these people that, like, you were just saying, like, shoving the information down your throat, like, oh, like, if you don't have, like, organic this and organic that, and oats are bad for you, and carbs, and I'm like, shut up. Shut up. Like, it just, like, there are studies done that people lost weight, lost fat just eating processed foods. You can
Mm-hmm.
still lose weight by eating McDonald's. It's so much more complex than calories in versus calories out. It's so much more complex than, oh, we'll just eat, chicken and rice. Like, everyone's body is going to react different. Everyone's muscle is going to react different. Like, it's I hate to say that it's a process of trial and error, but essentially it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be in tune with your body, and you have to be honest and, like, forthright with, hey, like, this is the program we started out with, but I'm having a really hard time following it. Okay, stop right there. What do we need to change? Nothing's
Mm-hmm.
wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with the food. Nothing's wrong with the exercise. Like, it's just not the right puzzle piece. It's not aligning.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what's meant for you. So we got to, like, mix things around a little bit and find out what's meant for you. What's going to work for you, for your body, for your schedule, for your lifestyle.
Yeah. One thing I was just talking about with a client, she had hired a previous fitness coach, I think the last like year. And I think when it comes to a lot of coaches and like meal plans specifically, meal plans are not empowering the client to take the reins on their life at all. It almost
Mm-hmm.
places the coach as the solution to their problems, but it's not actually the coach's job, again, to fix you or to give
Mm-hmm.
you a plan that's going to fix your life. It should actually be this like fluid, like you said, trial and error type thing, where when we talk about personalization, that's not a coach writing up a plan that works for them and giving it to you. It
Right.
is you going out trying things and seeing whether it felt good or whether it felt bad and what needs to happen in order for it to feel better.
Right.
And you had said too, um, that it's not just about the food and the exercise, but I believe too that like your soul plays into it too, and what feels good to your soul. I call it mind, body, and soul, because a lot of times what I find in the fitness industry is we're so focused on the body and the macros and the rigidness and the
Mm-hmm.
let's crunch the numbers, but it's like that's not, I don't think, as humans and as females especially, because that's who I work with and I see
Yeah.
it, it's like
Right.
a lot of us don't function very well on that. Maybe for a short period of time, like you said, if you're competing and you have a certain goal, or I think of even if you're like running a marathon, right? You need to have actual structure around your nutrition,
Right.
that aligns with that goal. But a lot of lifestyle people, like it's so much more than just hitting the numbers. Like
Right.
your mind plays into it, your soul plays into it, what actually feels good on a day-to-day basis plays into it. So I 100% agree with that.
Right. So, and to go along with what you were just saying, so one point I wanted to say about the cookie cutter programs, or even just the, like, personalized meal plans, or as a coach, like, we can give that to our client and it will work for a short period of time, but they're not learning. So, like, hey, when these 12, 24, whatever weeks are up and I'm not writing your meal plans anymore, what have you walked away with? You have no
Mm-hmm.
idea what you're doing now. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, yes, that's going to work, but, like, we need to learn how to track. Oh, well, like, my I've had, I'm sure you've had this before, like, hey, am I allowed to eat this? Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, eat it. Do you want it? Does it sound good to you? Will you feel fulfilled and happy and satisfied if you eat it? Then yes, by all means, eat it. Like, a lot of clients that I have, they don't. like either they don't know how to track, they don't want to track, or they've already done that before and they know it triggers them. So I say, okay, just give me a text message or a notes app and just get like write down what it is you had that day. Handful of nuts, two cookies, some sweet peppers with hummus, uh, you know, palm-sized piece of chicken breast. Cool. Okay. Good job. Now, keep doing that for the next week, and then we're gonna make slight adjustments. Like we'll give substitutions. Like if you absolutely cannot part with this thing, let's just add a protein shake to it. Let's add this. Let's add,
Mhm.
a little bit more chicken to your meal. Let's make sure you're being satiated so you don't crave the sugar as much. Let's find, healthier substitutes here and there. But it's like the goal. I mean, as a coach who genuinely cares about you and your health, again, not just like, yeah, I'm trying to prove to you that you're going to lose this 15 pounds, but then, like, guess what? Peace out, I'm done. Like, I want you to be able to, like, take what I'm teaching you and apply it to the rest of your life moving forward. I want you
Mhm.
to have a healthy relationship with food, a healthy relationship with your body, to not beat yourself up when you look in the mirror because you had that cookie or that donut or that piece of pie or cake or whatever. Like, another thing too is like when you can just let go and enjoy it, it's almost like your body just releases the stress of like beating yourself up, and it just works itself out. Like, even
Mhm.
I've noticed that in my own body when I stop stressing about it. And I think my favorite thing for me to do personally, I made this switch in my head every time I mentally wanted to say something negative, like, oh, I need to go burn this off tomorrow. Instead, I literally switched it and I said, I get to use this as fuel to lift heavier tomorrow. And
Mhm.
I'm not even kidding you, my body just changed. It
Mhm.
just changed for the better. It was almost magical. Like, just that whole mindset.
Yeah, a lot of it. I mean, we're playing a mindset game. That's what I always
Mm-hmm.
say. Is we think that it's a diet and exercise game, but it all comes back to mindset
Oh,
and
yeah.
how you think about the choices that you're making. Because the odds are too, like whether you eat the cookie, right, and have a shitty mindset, or eat the cookie and have a good mindset, it is in turn affecting your body the same way. But because your mindset is so different, you actually start to view your body in a different way. It's fucking
Mm-hmm.
nuts.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you're kinder to yourself and you're like,
Yes.
"Hey, cool. Like, I enjoyed that." And it's almost like you can, like, when people are, when we talk about like to clients or coaches or fellow, gym goers, whatever, like, enjoy it. And then it gives you that permission to like just be satisfied with what you had. Whereas if you say, "Summer, I need you to not eat a donut for the next 6 weeks." What's the one thing you're going to want for the next 6 weeks? Just because I said you can't have one.
A fucking donut.
You're like, I don't even like donuts, but now I want a fucking donut. And
Hmm.
I'm like, it's literally so toxic. Like,
Hmm.
again, you hit the nail on the head. If you're stepping on stage and you have 18 weeks to prep, you can do anything for 18 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever it is. You can do anything. But long term, that is not a healthy mindset to have.
Hmm.
Like, you need to be able to say, you know what? I have, X amount of calories or room or carbs or whatever. I have this much leeway. Um, because you still want to hold yourself accountable. You don't want to fall off the wagon like, hey, I was perfect Monday through Friday. That doesn't mean you just get to freaking throw it all away and go balls to the walls on the weekends, because you're essentially doing yourself a disservice for all the hard work you just did. But that's not to say you can't enjoy yourself. So let's sit down, let's do the math. Let's say, okay, I get this much leeway for this meal, or I know my girlfriends want to go get their drink on this weekend, or I know like my friend is graduating, or they're having a baby, or like there's going to be this party, and you just made a post the other day, like, you prioritize cookies over cake, right? Is that what it was? It was like cookies over cake or something, because that's what you like. So
Hmm.
like, I might want ice cream. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, well, you know what? You offer me, hey, Hannah, do you want a cookie? I'm like, I think for a second, does a cookie sound worth it to me right now? Or do I want to save that for the ice cream I'm having later? You know what? Actually, Summer, like, thank you. I'm good. I want to have ice cream later. Like, there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that. And again, it all goes back to what you said earlier, is putting the control back into the hands of the client, saying, okay, you get to decide. I'm not writing your meal plan for you. Like, I'll help you out and I'm going to help you learn like what you think it's worth to you, but it's your call. It's your shot. So like, you've followed protocol, if you will, Monday through Friday, and you want to celebrate this weekend, you want to relax and enjoy your weekend, like, you choose what's worth it to you, but just keep in mind, like, you don't want to, I hate to say undo all of your hard work because it's not really how it is, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah. Go
you
off
get
the
to pick,
fucking walls.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Balls to the walls, right?
yep. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, just because you were in a caloric deficit because we're trying to lose weight or whatever the case is, Monday through Friday, but then you have six mixed drinks and a piece of cake and a double cheeseburger with onion rings. It's like, okay, well, now if you actually add all that up, you just filled in all the deficit gaps you placed Monday through Friday, and you're back to not being in a deficit at the end of the week. So,
Yay. Yes, I love it. I think there's a huge difference between just discipline and I call it self mastery, where discipline, you can put your head down, you can follow a fucking plan for six
mhm,
months, but eventually you hit a point. Or, like I said, maybe you're giving your power away to that coach, and then all of a sudden that coach goes bye bye, and then there goes all of your power. Versus self
mhm.
mastery, you're holding the freaking magic wand. You
Right.
trust yourself in every situation. Me as a coach, I don't even necessarily talk about calorie deficits and surpluses and all of that because I just don't like, again, I don't think that that's what most females even need to be worrying about. Like they need to be worrying about just being able to eat the fucking cookie and being okay
Yeah.
with it and not
Yeah.
not spiraling. So I want to take
Mhm.
the conversation even just a bit deeper. Like let's go, I don't know where this could lead, but even deeper into whether it be the topic of self-mastery, of another one that's been popping up is honesty with yourself.
Yeah.
That's been a hot topic with a lot of my clients and in my group program specifically, where a lot of them have kind of come to the realization of, oh wow, like the reason why I feel like shit all the time is because I haven't been honest with myself. I say that I'm giving my all, and then when I actually look at the documentation of what's going on, I'm actually not giving my all, and
Mhm.
I'm almost allowing myself and settling for a mediocre life, a mediocre body, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Maybe we even go into comparison, but I want to like crack open a juicy ass conversation that maybe other people, other coaches don't really touch on because I think everybody touches on the calorie deficits and
Yeah.
the diet and exercise and the food and whatnot. But
Yeah.
I wanna go a layer deeper, and I know you're quite the thinker and talker, so let's fucking get into it wherever you want to
Bring
start.
it. Bring it. Well, you started it, so I'm following your lead. Let's pick one.
Hey, let's touch on comparison to others. What has been maybe your experience with that? What have you used to overcome that? What are some tools or methods that you give to clients or give to people? What do you experience, like I said, with comparison? What do you think the root cause of comparison is in 2024?
Oh man, like, oh, we could be here all day. I mean, I just posted something about that this morning. Like, comparison, I mean, that saying, it couldn't be any more true. Comparison is the thief of joy. So like, let's just say, oh man, the root cause. I mean, let's just bring good old social media into it really
Mhm.
quick. Like, look at this tool that we have. We are in the year 2024, and social media and technology has just skyrocketed since you and I have been kids. Like, our parents didn't have the technology, the sources, the resources, the ability to just hop on this little box, this hand-sized box, and have the world at your fingertips. Like, to be able to stay in your lane. I mean, you touched on discipline. It's like to be able to stay in your lane, keep your head down, and focus, focus, focus on a goal. Like, I see you post about this every once in a while, like to be able to just say, hey, social media is being a bit much for me right now. I just need to take a big fat time out. I need to like get off, regroup, get back in touch with myself, my reality, my goals, and stop playing the scrolling game. For me, like that's a big one. Like I'll be honest, um, if I catch myself scrolling, I immediately shut my phone off and I toss it and I'm like, I gotta go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've noticed it's like every time I start to get some traction, like I'm a big I'm a big love to be in control of my own life type person.
Mm-hmm.
And when I feel like I don't have that control or I'm stuck in a situation I don't like,
Like what?
I like if I'm not loving my job or I'm not loving my career or I'm not loving my business or I'm not loving my gym life currently, it's like, okay, all right, hands, stop. What needs to change? How do we change it? How do we get out of it? My dad always used to say to me, if you don't love your job, change it. I'm sure you see this all the time. Like everybody sees it. You go to Walmart or Starbucks and the barista or the greeter, they're rude. I'm like, okay, I get it. We all have bad days, but do you like your job? Because if you don't, there's 100 other ones you could go get right now. If
Yeah.
you don't love what you're doing, change it.
What do you say to
So
people who want security and safety and comfort of the job that they currently have? Or like sunk cost is another big one. Like I've poured so many years into this job and so much energy just for me to still not like it, but now I feel like I'm so invested in it that I can't give it up, or like I feel like it would be a waste to go find something different.
okay, well, let's just take that and compare it to being in a bad relationship. So I was in a really bad relationship, and I've witnessed. I was having been a police officer very briefly in my life. I used to see women be in toxic relationships, and I would think, "What are you doing? Get out!" And then I
Hmm.
found myself in one day, and I didn't see it till I actually got out of it, and I was like, "Hannah, what the hell were you doing?" And I asked myself the same, or I said the same thing to myself you just said. You're like, well, I already invested so much time in this. I, I don't want to I don't want to give up, the year and a half, whatever I invested. But then the other side of the coin was, okay, but do you want this to be the next 30, 40 years of your life? And I went,
Hmm.
hell no. Like,
Hmm.
I don't want this to be the next 30, 40 years of my life. Why are you staying in something that's not helping you grow, helping you thrive, helping you blossom and shine? Like, if something's snuffing out your light, and usually it's you, like self doubt, self sabotage, um, not being surrounded by friends who are like honest with you. Like, if my friends don't have a spine, and this is a hard lesson. I had to learn this lesson so hard. If my friends don't have a spine or, like the wherewithal, the brutality, the honesty, the love, it's love. They're not being mean. It's because they love you. To say, hey, like maybe you shouldn't be doing that. Or, hey, I love you, but I don't agree with what you're doing. Or, like, maybe you just need to find something different. Or maybe this isn't the best thing for you. Like, if you can't stop and self reflect, then the problem is on you.
Hmm. Oh my gosh,
So,
I listen to on my 10-mile runs, I listen to David Goggins to get
There you
me through
go.
and like give me the energy. And
Yeah.
I wrote notes actually today because he calls it your foxhole, which is
Mm.
I think it's like a army term or a
Yeah.
military term.
Yep.
And essentially it's people that are in your group of friends, your group of family,
Hmm.
like your close people. And he's like, you want your foxhole to be filled with people who pull out the best of you. And this isn't
Hmm.
necessarily just supportive people, because he's like, your mom and your dad could be supportive of you going to school. And then when you're tired or frustrated or you want to rest or you want to quit, maybe you want to quit school, then they're also supportive of that decision. And it's like, he's like, foxhole members are some dogs. They are your dogs and they
Yeah.
will call you out on your shit. And they're the type where it's like, oh, you don't want to go to the gym? Well, I'm going to drive your ass to the gym and I'm going to wait outside until you're done.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I'm going to
Or yeah, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna grab your fucking hand and we're gonna
Yes.
go on and get this shit done together.
Yes, and it's like the people who number one want to get better themselves,
Hmm.
and they also know what it means to get better. They drive each other, you feed off of one another. It's the people who are going to hold your ass accountable to the things that you say you're going to do. So I love
Yeah.
that you brought that up. I'm
Yeah.
curious, this toxic relationship, what were some of the biggest takeaways or lessons learned?
Oh. Like
Just in general, like that, like overall values, like any characteristics that it built in yourself going through it, coming out of it.
um I mean, I'm trying to be very selective with what I say, depending on who listens to this. Um,
Let it rip.
I'm like, gonna get sued for slander or, um, so I would say the biggest takeaways for me, and and honestly, like you could probably apply it to any relationships, like not just romantic relationships or things like that, like romantic friendships, interpersonal work relationships, things like that. It's looking for red flags and finding the red flags faster, I would
Even
say
a
is my.
even a relationship with yourself, like a self
Oh yeah.
relationship.
Well,
Find your
so
own red
I
flags.
so here's so oh to that, my bigger one is setting boundaries. For me, it was setting boundaries and being able to say, like, again, I got to be careful with what I say, but like for me, it was setting boundaries and holding to those boundaries, standing up for myself, and really recognizing my value as a person, as a woman, and as a partner.
Hmm.
So, all of those things, like, obviously, you want to reciprocate that and be respectful of the other person's boundaries, worth, value, all of those things. But holding to yourself, holding your ground, and verbalizing it, communicating it in a respectful way, but saying, no, I'm sorry, I don't deserve to be treated that way. Like, I deserve to be happy, to feel safe, to feel valued, to be prioritized, all of those things. And you do, everybody does. But it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, I mean, I would say those were some of my bigger takeaways.
I love the boundary topic. It's like my one of my favorite topics because I
It's
find
hard.
there's like two sides of the coin. There's some people who are extreme people pleasers, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
live to like please other people. They put themselves last. And then on the other side of that coin, you have just like what you said, I don't deserve to be treated this way. It's how is your own internal self dialogue? Because if you're
Yeah.
a bitch to yourself, you don't deserve that and you're choosing to actively believe that like you're bullying yourself and you're
Well, and you're
choosing to
letting,
do
well,
it.
and you're letting other people do it to you.
Yes.
Like you have to be able to say, no, Hannah, you are a human being. You have feelings
Hmm.
as well. That doesn't mean you get to go step on other people's, but that doesn't mean you get to let other people step on yours. So
Hmm.
it's very mutually like, it's not mutually exclusive. It's mutual.
Hmm.
it's like an exchange of relationship. Like that's how a relationship is. Like even just the whole putting in effort of a relationship. Like that was another one, and it goes back to the whole circle thing. If you find yourself putting in 150%, but that other person's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I'm like, okay, there's strike one. We're going to keep an eye on that one. Does it feel like you're always the one putting in the effort in this relationship? Well,
Mm-hmm.
maybe sometimes it's time to take a step back and let that relationship dissolve. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to be carrying everyone else around you. You have to focus on yourself too. You have to fill your cup. You have to make sure you're taking care of you and prioritizing you so that you can take care of the people around you. But it's not your job to carry everyone around you. So like back to your foxhole thing, like, and it's kind of like that you become the average of the five people you hang out with the most. Like one of my best friends, I love this about her, and I wasn't used to it. I said something to her about a relationship one time, and it was not in my best interest, but I did it anyway. And she said, I love you, but I think that's a terrible decision. She goes, I love you and I'll support you, but I think you're making a mistake. And I said, okay, thank you for your honesty. Like, I appreciate it. But that stuck with me because she was honest and she called me on my bullshit. She was there for me. She'll defend me till the day I die. She has my back, but she wasn't just being that blindly supportive friend that was like, sure, babe, whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. And I find too, you had said, like, the journey of life is, I think the point of life is growth. Like you're put here to grow as a
Mm-hmm.
person. There's obviously all these different components of life. You have relationship, you have spirituality, you have your career, you have your family, you have your personal development. And I that's what I believe is every single day we should be pushing the needle forward, because
Mm-hmm.
just from me observing really successful people and feeling it myself, that's what truly lights the fire inside of me. And maybe it's different for other people, but I have a feeling as a human, as a human collective, like it does feel good to know that every single day or on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis, like we're moving forward. Because the second that we start moving backwards, that's when depression and anxiety and everything hits.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, like you said, in that growth, like you're bound to cut people off, and you're bound to
Mm-hmm.
have people who just can't keep up and who aren't developing the way that you are. And one rule of thumb that I always keep is, it's like, as long, you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be up to my level, you don't have to be this like knight in shining armor friend, but or family member or whoever it is, spouse even. But you have to have the trait and the characteristic of, number one, being self-aware enough to realize, okay, what I just did was wrong, or okay, I could do better, or
Oh
that
yeah.
willingness to grow and get better,
Mm-hmm.
and really acknowledge your faults.
Well,
And
accountability.
yep,
Accountability is huge. Humility
yep.
and accountability will take you farther than anything else.
Yeah, and so that's my rule of thumb, at least when it comes to people, friendships, is we have to, like I said, you don't have to be the perfect person, but as
Nope.
long as you are self-aware. I actually wrote notes on this too. Am I the only person who keeps thousands of notes in my
Can I show you my notes app? Like, are you kidding me? Dude,
I have
I was
so many
I was
scattered.
I was typing this out today and it was taking forever because it was so long. Like this is just one document. Just one.
Oh my
Like,
God, it's like my entire brain is dumped into the notes section of my phone.
oh,
I hope
oh yeah, that's where all the energy goes is my notes. So,
I
it's
hope other
great.
people listening can relate. So yeah, traits that I look for are being self-aware, being hungry for growth, always trying
Mhm.
to learn. I get along really, really well with like the type A people, the go-getters,
Yeah.
and always being open to, just like open-minded. I think
Mhm.
that's a huge one. I think a lot of people are very closed-minded, where it's like my way or the highway, and I
Yep.
don't even want to hear your side of it. So I really respect people who are open-minded, and I think it makes for a better life. But
No, a
that
thousand percent.
yeah, when it comes to cutting people out, I get that question kind of all the time, where it's like, well, I have these friends that I feel like anytime I hang out with them, they're like dragging me down, and I'm like, well, do they check off the, yeah, the boxes in your personal development checklist, or are
Mm-hmm.
they truly like, is it time to cut them off? And so I love the boundary talk because so many
Mm-hmm.
people are lacking so many boundaries.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things you said before about like outgrowing certain friends. So I have a very, very, very special place in my heart for my friends. And I've unfortunately had the painful experience of losing people who I thought were my friends. Like,
Hmm.
obviously, we all know not everyone is meant to be in your life forever.
Hmm.
And some people come into your life for a reason, a season, a lesson, a warning. Some people, if you're lucky, are there for a lifetime, but rarely ever is that the case. And Tyler Perry has this analogy. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was like on TikTok or something. My friend sent it to me, and he uses the analogy of a rocket. He's like, did you ever see a rocket take off? He's like, when the rocket takes off, he's like, when it gets to a certain point in the air, the boosters fall off of it. They just fall off. And he's like, some people help you get to where you're going, but they
Ooh,
can't go to the I know, chills,
that gives
right?
me
They
goosebumps.
don't they don't get to go to that level with you. They help you get there, they help you take off, they help you get to a certain level, but at a certain point they're going to fall off because not everyone is meant to go to your destination with you.
That
Like,
gave
so
me
think, yeah,
full body chills.
I know. I'm like, my hair is standing up on my arms. But I'm like, thank you for the lesson. Thank you for being with me from, this year to this year. Or even some people, it's like, hey, we were close for a few months, but like you kind of just disappeared. Like, thank you for the lessons you helped me learn in that time and, helping me through this breakup in my life or this brief, really crappy situation. Um, no harm, no foul. Like, if they happen to like leave on bad terms, like it sucks and it's unfortunate, but I wish you the best. I hope that you are happy. I
Hmm.
hope that you're taking care of yourself and you're learning to grow in your own way and in your own life.
Hmm.
But not everyone's meant to go to your destination with you.
Yeah, I love that so much. Sorry, I'm taking my dog's collar off.
You're good.
We'll edit that out. What?
Good old
So,
technology.
yeah, so police officer. How long were you a police officer?
Just a year and a half.
What led you to that?
Oh, it was. I'm not even gonna beat her. Like it was a whim. I literally did it on a whim. So I had graduated college in May of 2017. I was working a part-time job through the summer, and it was one of those like my best friend through college. We both graduated at the same time, and we were like on this trajectory of like, man, like we're killing life. We have our bachelor's degree. Like, boom, we graduated. Oh God, now what? It's summer. Hannah, what are we gonna do with our lives? The hell if I know. Like, I don't know. I didn't have a plan after that. The plan was just to graduate college. I don't know what to do now. I'm like, shit. So now we're in the summer and then like we're looking at each other, we're like, well, I don't know, what are you gonna do? We both have this freaking part-time job working at a gym. I'm like, this is not what I want to be doing forever. So she ends up we were supposed to go to Italy, right? My dreams, like, go to Europe, all this stuff. And we had this whole plan. And one day she texted me, she goes, hey, dude, so we're not going to be able to go to Europe. So I just joined the fire academy. I was like, damn it. So now I actually at the time was working part time at like one of the car washes here in town. I was literally a college graduate washing cars for $7 an hour in the
Hey,
bloody heat.
I bet you learned something and picked up
Oh
some sort of skill.
yeah, I learned how to wash a car. I learned how to detail a car. It was great. I'm like every time I'm washing my own car, I'm like, yeah, I know how to wash these wheels. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Learned that after college. So,
That's what my $50,000, $100,000 degree got me, baby.
yeah, right. I'm like, thank God for scholarships. I'd be in so much debt right now. No, but honest to God, I signed myself up for grad school. So I'm working, however many hours a week, not that many, but making $7 plus tips an hour washing cars, putting myself through grad school, and it was like seven plus grand a semester. And like halfway through, I'm like, what am I doing? I don't even know what I want to do with this plus degree. Like, do I want to teach? No. Do I want to be a professor? No. Do I want to be a therapist or a sociologist? No. All right, well, we better change gears here real quick. So I had to figure out what I was going to do. That same friend, she's like, hey, they're always looking for cops. Like, why don't you just apply to the police department? And I never wanted to be a cop. Like, that's not why I went into criminal justice. I actually loved, like, the psychological,
Hmm.
criminological aspect of it more than just being a cop.
Hmm.
But I was like, all right, what the hell? So I applied. I snuck out of the house to go train for the PT test. My parents had no idea. And I showed up November 1st of 2017 and did the PT test, passed, did the written test, passed. There was like 50-ish dude. I want to say there's a bunch of other guys taking this test with me. I don't remember there being any other women. I could be wrong. Um, had it snuck out of my house to do the interview with the chief. And after I got this job offer, because he offered me the job, I texted my parents and I was like, "Hey, family meeting tonight." My mom's all, "Did you call this meeting or did Dad?" I'm like, "No, it's me." I have my parents sitting in the kitchen. I'm like, "So, here's the deal." And my mom was ecstatic, and I thought I was gonna have to pick my dad up off the floor with a syringe. And my mom was like, "No way, that's awesome." So my mom's a Marine, so she's like, "That's so awesome."
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
so yeah, so it was short lived. I mean, I don't need to just sit here and bash that whole story, but it was
Mhm.
short lived. I could talk about that experience for a long time as well, but I did it on a whim, got the job. I beat out a bunch of other people for it. I proved to myself that I could do some really hard shit. I was way outside of my comfort zone. Learned a lot of things I had never done before. Like, I was not proficient in firearms at the time. I was
Mhm.
not proficient in, I mean, here's a whole like perfect example of I had been going to the gym for, let's see, I was 17, 18, 19, 20, probably six. I'd been probably working out for like 6 years at the time. Going to the police academy, we were using like, it was a community college up in Salt Lake. And
Mhm.
so we only had access to their cafeteria food.
Mhm.
So, like, in my head, this is how twisted it was. I'm thinking, I'm watching all these guys eat like burgers and french fries and onion rings, and I'm thinking, you idiots, we have to run at 5 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing? So here I am eating like frozen chicken breast patties from the cafeteria, but I was like, no, no, I don't want to eat the bun. I'll just have the chicken, lettuce, and tomato. I lived off of that, Cliff Bars, and I had brought like a tub of protein with me up to the apartment, whatever, the dorm room we were staying in.
Mhm.
I lost so much muscle because I wasn't eating enough. I burned it all off. I was lean, but I was like skinny because I
Mhm.
didn't want to, quote, get fat from all the other
Mhm.
stuff they were eating. Like, yes, hindsight, like, obviously it wasn't nutritiously dense food, but like, with all the activity we were doing, I should have been eating those carbs.
Yeah.
Like, I look back now and I'm like, damn it, what was I thinking?
Where could I be today if I
I
would
know my butt could be so much bigger. I'm just kidding. Like, I look back at that, I'm like, damn it, Hannah. But like, you live and you learn. Like,
Yeah, you don't.
I had been working out for years, and I still had such a bad relationship with food and my body.
But again, in situations like that, it's like you just don't know what you don't
Hmm.
know. But now
Yeah,
you know, and it's
exactly.
like, well, if I could go back, I would, but I can't, so
Yeah.
whatever.
So here we are moving forward.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So what I always love like takeaways and lessons learned. Like even the process of becoming a cop, being a cop, what is a skill or a lesson learned that you can bring to the audience, the community?
Ugh. Um, Men suck. I'm just kidding. Don't add that. Don't add that into this. Cut
I'm
that
just
out.
kidding. I don't know how to edit this, so there's no
Oh,
editing.
okay. We're fucked. Um, yeah, no, I mean, again, boundaries.
Mhm.
Knowing yourself, knowing, believing in yourself, like
Mhm.
pushing yourself to do things that are so ungodly uncomfortable. Like, there were moments where I was thinking, what the hell did I just like sign up for? Why did I sign up for this? But it's like, not everyone can say that they did what I did. And it's cool. I get to, say, like, yeah, I experienced this, I did this, I accomplished this, I was this. For even a brief period of time, I did this with my life. And I don't know if this is a flex really, but like my resume, I'm not even 30 yet. My resume is like 10 freaking pages long. I've done a lot of things in the last 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
And, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Like, I'm
Yeah.
still learning.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I wish I could like convey to other women our age is like, you don't have to be stuck in something if you're not happy with it. You
Mhm.
have the power to leave, to change your situation, to leave the crappy relationship, to cut off the toxic friendship, to leave a town that's no longer serving you, to leave a place, a workplace, an environment that you're no longer shining in. If you're not thriving and growing and happy, you have the power to change it. And like, I understand like you're not always going to like financially be able to physically move or be able to like pick up and go somewhere or whatever the case is, but like there are little things you can do to change your situation. Like
Mhm.
find a different group of friends, go out on a limb and like join this, community group or read this book or listen to a podcast or join a gym. Like the most amazing and best things for you are going to be uncomfortable. It's
Mhm.
literally the choose your hard. Being
Mhm.
obese is hard. Being fit is hard. Choose which one you want. Do you want to be fat and unhappy or do you want to be like lean and muscular and be like, this fucking blows, but I'm doing it and I love the way I look? Like,
Yes.
going to the grocery store and walking down the cookie aisle is hard, and being in the grocery store and walking down the vegetable aisle is hard. Like,
Yeah.
going to work is hard, owning your own business is hard, like talking to strangers is hard, being alone is hard. Like, there's so many different sides of these coins. Everything in life has different forms of hard, and you just have to choose which one you want. And the only way you're going to grow is by picking something that's difficult to do and being like, all right, let's do it. Even if you fall flat on your face halfway through, so what?
Yeah.
Like, I used to get so upset in school growing up because I didn't get a 100% on a test.
Mhm.
And my dad used to say, okay, what's the worst case scenario? You fail? Okay, what happens after you fail the test? Well, I'll have to retake it. And, well, and like, we'd go down this list of things, and I'd be like, well, this, well, that. He's like, okay, that's the worst thing that can happen. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you, even when guys are like, I love this when guys are like, oh, I don't want to ask her out. I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? She says no. On to the next one. Thanks for not wasting my time. Clearly, she's got
Yeah.
the right one.
Yeah.
Like, somebody turns you down for a job. Cool. Thank you for your time. On to the next one. You
One
didn't get
step
this one?
closer. One step
Yeah.
closer to the dream one that you're meant for.
Everything in life is just leading you, directing you to the place you're meant to be. Like, if God closes this door, that's because he's trying to push you in the other direction.
Yep. Yep. My car blew up. Uh-oh.
Sorry. Headphone.
Oh, whoops.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Why does that sound so weird?
Mm, about now?
That's better, I think. Yeah,
Okay,
there we go.
sorry. Yeah, my headphones were about to die, so I took one out so I could charge it.
Okay, so yeah, I appreciate you even being vulnerable about not knowing what the fuck you're doing, because I think
Mm-hmm.
so many people can relate to that with the what am I doing moments, and like
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, and I truly believe, like you said, moving towards the hard almost. Like that I look at life and I'm like, give me the hardest fucking challenge you can give me. Again, David Goggins is quite the
Mm-hmm.
influence here, but he was talking about, he's like, okay, so I had somebody ask me, they want to train for a half marathon and like if that's good enough. And he's like, what the fuck? You're already training for a half marathon, so why not go for a full marathon? It's like we short ourselves on what we're capable of, and we pick
Mm-hmm.
the safe option. He's like, you picked a half marathon because it's doable. Why not pick something that's not doable or that you don't think that you can even achieve and
Yeah.
strive for that? And I guarantee you, it'll feel 10 times better
Mm-hmm.
when you do finish it and when you do accomplish it. And I truly believe that that's how it is in life. It's like
Mm-hmm.
instead of just picking the safest job that you possibly can and the most secure job and the most secure relationship and the safest person, it's like go out and do the hard fucking things and go out and do the scary things and move towards that hard and almost get like a high off of doing hard things. That's the way that I describe it, is like instead of running away in the other direction with your tail tucked, like I'm so fucking scared right now, it's like move towards it. Like run head on into the scary thing and I guarantee you it'll pay off. Like it always does. It's either like you said, it's either rejection or a failure, which is actually a lesson learned to get you one step closer, or you
Yeah.
succeed at it and it's amazing. Like
Yeah.
those are the
Just
only two
redirection.
options that you have.
Yeah. It's just. I mean, it's not necessarily. It's redirection. Half the time,
Mhm.
it's not even failure. It's redirection. Like
Mhm.
it just. It doesn't mean like, oh, well, sorry, you're not good enough for this. I'm sorry. Well, it's not meant for me. Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Thank you. Like, thanks
Mhm.
for not wasting my time. Um, and what you were saying about like going toward the hard and intimidating thing, like we could even just use the example of like progressive overload. Everyone goes, oh, well, I'm using these like 15 pounds. Great, that's awesome. But the reason you're not growing muscle is because you're not pushing yourself. Are you even breaking a sweat? Have you tried to get a PR in this? Have you tried, like ask somebody in the gym to like spot if you're genuinely scared of getting hurt, which is a very realistic and understandable fear. Like we don't want you to get injured, but it's like muscle growth happens under pressure, under tension, under breakage. Your muscles tear and then you repair them and that's how they grow. I think a lot of people don't understand that. Like
Mhm.
the only way you're going to like hip thrust heavier is if you hip thrust heavier. The only way you're going to lift more weight is if you lift more weight. Like, what do you think is just magically one day you're going to say, oh, yeah, I could lift more? None of you don't try it. Like,
Mhm.
if you want to shoulder press 40s, guess what? You got to try to get to the 30s first, and then the 35s, and then the 40s. Like, do you think just by shoulder pressing 25s, 15 reps for 3 to 4 sets for 6 months to a year to 2 years to 3 years, you're just going to automatically like shoulder press 40s? You have to push yourself. Like, that is literally how growth happens.
That's where I have a little bit of beef too with like affirmations or meditating or journaling on it. It's like, okay, we can sit and like envision ourselves pressing the 40s and like
Yeah.
write about it or
Yeah.
like read books about how to do it or listen to other people who do it or watch other people do it. But the actual needle moving task here is getting your
Is
ass to the
doing
gym
it.
and
Yeah.
pressing the weight.
Yeah. You gotta actually do it. Like in your dreams, like yeah, you like you said, you can envision yourself, but like, okay, does that mean that like your
It doesn't
mental
prove
stuff?
Yeah, it
Yeah, it
doesn't
doesn't do
prove
anything.
anything to your brain that you're actually
Uh-uh.
capable. Like you have to go and do the dang thing. It's the same thing with like I talk a lot about healing your relationship to food, right? And I find a lot of people get stuck in this, like, well, I'm gonna fill out 100 different journal prompts about my relationship to food, and I'm gonna read all the books and listen to all the podcasts. And like, that's not, it's like procrastination at a certain point. Like, yeah, you have all the information. Now, what are you actually doing with that fucking information? You're doing nothing. You're not actually going out and practicing eating the cookie or practicing having a healthy relationship to food. So then when the weekend comes, you go balls to the walls because you haven't practiced at all. You've just plugged your ears with a whole bunch of information.
Yeah, yeah, yep, yep, yep. You have to actually do the work, unfortunately.
Okay, is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to chat about?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many good little nuggets in there. I mean, like, you could honestly sprout a freaking tree from each of those seeds, but you know what I mean? Like, we could just be on this podcast for like a year. But no, I mean, that thing took legs and just ran, so.
Love it. Is there any last piece of advice that you want to leave the podcast community with?
I mean, we could recap, like, first, learn your own worth. Learn your worth. Don't let anybody else tell you different. Set and carry and, like, make sure you're holding steadfast to your boundaries. Respect yourself, and then make other people respect you the same way you respect yourself, or how you would talk to your friend, your spouse, your mother. Like, why would you talk to yourself any different? Investing in your health as health, and not just it's not always about image. Like, like I said, firsthand, bodybuilding is not healthy. Like, that's great because you can see what your body is capable of doing. You put yourself through some really hard shit, and you did it, and you got it done, and you killed it. But, like, at the end of the day, is your goal health, or are you just trying to, like, push yourself through something hard? So, what's your long-term goal? What are you willing to do to get there? Are you trying to have a sustainable, healthy lifestyle while you enjoy life with your spouse and your children and traveling and still enjoying your body in the way that it looks? I mean, there's so many different good takeaways from this podcast, honestly, that we would just have to re-talk about the whole thing all over again. I'm like, so actually just hit replay and then go through that again.
My favorite too was the what am I doing moments. Like, what am I doing? Like, I think we so many people try to escape it. Like, I need to get out of this feeling, but I don't think that it's ever going away. Like, I think no matter how much money you have, how fit you are, how great of a relationship and life and house and car you have, I think it's always going to be like, what am I doing? And I think that's the joy and the fun of life.
But embrace it. Yeah, like, well, you said, like, I need to run away from him. Like, honestly, you gotta embrace, and that's coming from somebody it's really hard to not have control over my life. I want to have that control, but I have to embrace it and say, okay, this may have worked for me temporarily for, like, the last 6 months to a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever the case is, but I am realizing it's not fulfilling me right now. So where's the next step, the next direction, the next phase, the next chapter? Where is that leading me, and what's going to make me feel happy, fulfilled, and satisfied for the next chapters? Like, it's okay to not stick with the same thing for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Like, if you're not feeling satisfied, fulfilled, like, work on you, but work on changing the environment that you're in so that you make sure you're growing and thriving. And, like, be the friend that you need, and make sure you are choosing the friends that you need.
Fill your foxhole with dogs.
Yeah, not foxes, ironically enough.
Love it. Okay, that is a mic drop. Well, thank you so much, Hannah, for coming on, and this was a blast. I know, like I said, the community, I think, will get so much out of this conversation, so I just want to thank you for coming on, being vulnerable, sharing it all, and we'll have to do another one because it sounds like we have more to talk about.
Yeah, hell